Na pia kama unasikia njaa, umekuja unasikia njaa, pale nje kuna food bazaar. At a very very low price, affordable price, unaweza kwenda pale nje ukapiga 1 and 2, na pia kuna auction, at auction iko kuna signature na mkono wako ukionyesha bendera ya Palestine, na pia kuna face painting, kuna pia nguo ziko pale, nguo nzuri sana mashallah, you can go na unanunua unampelekea shemegi, itakuwa fiti tena sana pale. Kumbuka pia kuna t-shirt za Palestine pia maridadi kwa shilingi ya peke yake 1000 peke yake, alafu 100% inaenda directly to support our sisters.
Very special event because today is a very special evening. Tumeenda siku mingi ili uweze kuwezesha ili jambo, na kwa uwezo wa Mwenyezi Mungu hivi sasa tumewezesha. Anapokaa tu mgeni wetu ambapo yuko pale anatizama, tutaanza kipindi chetu rasmi. Na vile vile pia katika orodha ya vipindi tutakuwa na ufunguzi rasmi. Baada ya ufunguzi rasmi tutapata kuona documentary on the current situation and what is happening and about the history of Palestine and Israel. We'll have that documentation live on our screen. And then later on we'll call upon a panelist who will come and discuss more about what is happening and the history of Israel and Palestine. All right, as our guest is coming, naomba tumpigie makofi mgeni wetu Mheshimiwa His Excellency the Governor. Tumpigie makofi ya heshima na taadhima tafadhali. Karibu kabisa. Asante. Welcome our guest this evening. So His Excellency the Governor, this is Artistics Op Organization, and these young men and women and youth have come together to make sure that we are standing together with our brothers and sisters back in Palestine. We know what is happening. So today, without wasting any time, I'll call upon our brother Junaid Faisal. Please come and give us some opening remarks. Makofi tafadhali.
Assalamu alaikum. Once again, my name is Junaid Faisal. Before I begin, I would like to thank the presence of our governor. In fact, time more than most people. So thank you very much for your attention. I want to extend also my thank you and gratitude to all those who have volunteered today. Thank you so much for coming despite of the rain, despite of all the hindering factors like this being a weekday. And thank you so much. So without further ado, we want to begin the program. As the MC had already stated, we'll have a short video session after which we'll have a small presentation, after which we'll have panelists, then we'll have our guest of honor give us a small speech. But I also want us to be understanding, kidogo governor ajisikii vizuri, so naomba mumtilie dua kama hii program inaendelea, sio? Am I clear? When I say free, you say Palestine. Free. I want to make sure that people at Serrani ground know that there's a function here. Please. Free. 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 Thank you very much. So without further ado, we're going to go on to the short videos, then the presentation. Thank you very much.
Time is ticking by, the world is standing by, images getting worse, voices getting hoarse, children blown to bits, no one calling quits, humans burnt alive, no chance to survive, mothers scream in pain, exploded child brains, unborn in the womb, straight to the tomb, dreams killed, ambitions unfulfilled, shaking from the shock, death around the clock. Still they insist, toddlers are terrorists, terror in children's eyes, bombs rain from the skies, calling for their mom who was crushed by a bomb. You say we terrorize? Come, see our skies. Yes, that is a dare. Let's see how much you bear. No gluten for your bread, no graves for our dead, no power or water, just barbaric slaughter, body parts unclaimed, breathing bodies maimed, the rotten stench of death, no time to catch a breath, no time to mourn or think, more hits before we blink, hospitals under attack, trying to make us crack, but little do they know, even an embryo who's born on this land is born to withstand, born to resist with the right to exist. Resilience is bred, it's our butter and bread. We will not leave our land, why won't they understand? Threatened by babies, children and ladies, from far the cowards kill. Afraid the truth will spill, they can pay for their lies with their diplomatic ties, but the truth is free with the eyes you can see. Apocalyptic views, yet lies on the news are stories for views, not to actually be told. The media's controlled, their news is mostly fake. AI photos that they make, we're robbed of dignity cause we want the world to see. Look and open your eyes. Still the world denies, the truth is unveiled, humanity has failed. Give them hell, they tweet from their rich and comfy seat, hearts hardened and blind, brainwashed, confined. Who gets to decide whose murder's justified? Who gets to pick? This all makes me sick. We went back a century, Holocaust, slavery, white superiority. Animals are not so cruel, they don't mock and ridicule. Making TikToks of our pain, that's below inhumane. But the people awaken, outspoken, unshaken. Go, shut our accounts, we know you know our counts. That's why we're a threat, we simply make you sweat. If the G word is banned, it means you understand there is blood on your hands. Go censor and delete. Let history repeat. Politicians, two-faced. Our vote, what a waste. They're sly as a fox with their self-righteous talks. There must be judgment day, cause there is a price to pay. I heard a child scream. I wish it was a dream. This is reality. Shame on humanity. Time is ticking by. The world is standing by. But decades from today, we can proudly say I felt a fire in my chest and I passed this test. At least we say we tried to end this genocide.
The history of the world is always the history of weak people fighting strong people, of weak people who has a correct case fighting strong people who use their strength to exploit the weak. These people, the Palestinian people, prefer to die standing than to lose its case. We achieved proving that this nation is going to continue fighting till victory. We achieved that our people could never be defeated. We achieved teaching every single person in this world that we are a small, brave nation who are going to fight to the last drop of blood to put justice for ourselves after the world failed in giving it to us. This is what we achieved.
It does seem that the war, the civil war, has been quite fruitless.
It's not a civil war. It's a people defending themselves against a fascist government. It's not a civil war.
Well, the conflict...
It's not a conflict. It's a liberation movement fighting for justice.
Well, whatever it might be best called.
It's not whatever, because this is where the problems start. Because this is what makes you ask all your questions. This is exactly where the problems start. This is a people who is discriminated, is fighting for his rights. This is a story. If you will say it's a civil war, then your questions will be justified. If you will say it's a conflict, then of course it's a surprise to know what's happening.
Why won't your organization engage in peace talks with the Israelis?
You don't mean exactly peace talks. You mean capitulation, surrendering.
Why not just talk?
Talk to whom?
Talk to the Israeli leaders.
That's kind of conversation between the sword and you mean?
Well, if there were no swords and guns in the room, you could still talk.
No, I had never seen any talk between a colonialist case and a national liberation movement.
But despite this, about the possibility of
not fighting for what?
Not fighting at all, no matter what for.
Yeah, people usually fight for something and they stop fighting for something. So you can't tell me even why should we speak about what? Talk about stop fighting, why?
Talk to stop fighting, to stop the death and the misery, the destruction, the pain.
The misery and the destruction and the pain and the death of whom?
Of Palestinians, of Israelis, of Arabs.
Of the Palestinian people who are uprooted, thrown in the camps, living in starvation, killed for 20 years and forbidden to use even the name Palestinians.
They're better that way than dead though.
Maybe to you, but to us, it's not. To us, to liberate our country, to have dignity, to have respect, to have our mere human rights is something as essential as life itself.
The Palestinian struggle is not just a cry for justice. It's a blistering battle for the most fundamental human rights that every living soul on this planet should inherit by birthright. It's an unyielding resistance against the oppressive, suffocating grip of occupation and the callous denial of the most basic human dignity. Just as the civil rights movement in the United States fought against the chains of racial discrimination, so too do the Palestinian people strive to shatter the chains of occupation and tyranny. Never forget, my friends, that the Palestinians, much like African Americans in the United States, have been subjected to a heart-wrenching history of suffering and torment. The birth of Israel in 1948 brought forth the mass expulsion and dispossession of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their ancestral homes and land. This is a historic injustice that continues to haunt the lives of Palestinians to this very day. The situation in Palestine serves as a brutal reminder of the consequences of colonialism and the ruthless dispossession of indigenous people. It is an agonizing reminder that the fight for justice knows no borders, and we must stand united in solidarity with all oppressed peoples, whether they reside in the United States, South Africa, or anywhere around the world. Let's be unequivocally clear. Advocating for the rights of the Palestinian people is not synonymous with denying the rights and security of the Jewish people. The fight for justice in Palestine is not an assault on any particular group, but an unwavering stand against the policies of a Zionist state that has for far too long stripped Palestinians of their rights. We must remember that numerous Jewish voices also resound in the calls for justice and peace in Palestine, and their voices must not be silenced. In our relentless pursuit of justice for the Palestinian people, we must also acknowledge that it is in the best interest of the entire world to seek a just and enduring solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is a pursuit in the name of peace, stability, and the dignity of all mankind. But let me underscore this. The battle for justice in Palestine is not merely a political struggle, it's an elemental moral battle. It's the fight for the most basic human rights of a people who have suffered these injustices for far too long. It's the fight for the right to exist in peace and security, free from the ceaseless specter of violence and dispossession. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. I implore every person of conscience, regardless of their origins or beliefs, to stand steadfast with the Palestinian people in their unwavering quest for justice by any means necessary. Let us unite in building a world where every soul can live in freedom and dignity, where the rights of every individual are not just respected, but celebrated. The struggle for justice in Palestine is a universal fight, a resonating echo of the battles waged by oppressed people across the globe. It's a battle we must champion, a torch we must carry, and a legacy we must honor. Thank you, and free Palestine.
All right, thank you, thank you.
His Excellency the Governor, kama vile unavyoona hivi sasa tunasimama na ndugu zetu, and you are a true hero. Everyone in this hall is a true hero, na ilikuwa tunaomba tafadhali tuendelee kuwachangishia hawa, manake tumeshatoa pay bill pale 4061327 for the last 75 years ambayo imepita. Hawa watu wamekuwa wanavutana, na sisi kama brothers and sisters ni muhimu sana iwe tutasimama katika njia ya haki. Kwa hiyo ndugu zetu, dada zetu, pale tuko na pay bill kama tumewambia 4061327, ambapo hizi pesa zikichangwa zote itakuwa zinakuwa channeled through Artistics Organization kuhakikisha kwamba zinaenda kuwasaidia wale ambapo wamepata matatizo katika shida hii ambayo tunavyoona. Kwa hivyo kwa sasa ningependa nimwite Husni. Husni, wherever you are, please. Husni, wherever you are, tafadhali njoo ili uweze kunena mawili matatu tu, halafu tutaendelea na kipindi chenu. Tafadhali tumpigieni makofi.
Yes, assalamu alaikum everyone. Evening everyone. My name is Muhammad Hussein, mostly known as Husni. I would like to recognize the presence of His Excellency the Governor of Mombasa, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir. I also would want to thank the organizers, Palestine Aid Movement, Artistic Hope, Mission Relief, Kenyan and Palestine, and all other stakeholders who came on board to grace the noble event today. Also for all those participants who are here, thank you so much. Mine will be short, very brief. I think for all those who are here, we already know what is happening in Palestine, right? And each and everyone in a mixture has taken the initiative to sell out or air out what is happening in Gaza and Palestine. But one thing that I think we all forget is that I know most of us or some of us think that as much as we have the least numbers on social media or even one-to-one, you think that we cannot pass an information. But just for your information, for those who are in Palestine, through the social media, we have been able to understand and see what is going on in Gaza. And I think the social media war it's 90% a win-win situation for the Palestinians, right? So no matter the smallest number you have on social media, it doesn't matter. You can still air out what is happening. And this fight has nothing to do with Islam, because we have seen the oldest church being bombed, right? In Palestine, Gaza. This is the oldest church in history. And for those who think that this is just about Muslims, we've had Christians, we've had Jews who have been massacred through this process. And as one of the speakers, I think it's Junaid or whoever, just said this started in the last 75 years. For the last 75 years, these people have been going through a lot and a lot. You can imagine someone waking up saying we have lost the musical sounds of the birds. We're just hearing the musical sounds of bombs. You can imagine if this is your daughter, this is your son, this is your neighbor. Just imagine if you are supposed to go through this process, you wouldn't like it. It's so emotional. A lot of us, for those who are watching this, I think you can feel the heat if you're in Mombasa. But what I would like to urge to everyone here, let's not stop sharing and airing what is happening. As from yesterday, from statistics, 11,423 people have been killed since October 7th. Right? You can imagine what is happening, and when people just come out and just tell us, no, this started because Hamas did this, because, come on, for the last 75 years. So I'm finishing with a message, which I'll pass it to my governor. We highly appreciate your effort, because I know and I understand you're the first governor in Kenya who has even visited the embassy of Palestine to Kenya. You have been in the forefront to condemn what Israel is doing. Governor, tunakuomba kama wakazi wa Mombasa, muhimize His Excellency the President, kuwa this fight has nothing to do with Israel. Tunakuomba Governor, because we understand he also sent a message to us that he stands with Israel. We don't want to stand with the people who stands with genocide. Thank you so much, Governor. Thank you so much, everyone. May you be blessed. May Allah accept it from you and us.
All right, thank you. Once again, round of applause. Makofi tafadhali kwake. Now I'll take this opportunity to call upon once again Junaid to come and give us a presentation. One of the main presentation before we give His Excellency the Governor time to come and speak to us. Please, makofi tafadhali. Junaid, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much once again. So, without further ado, I'm sure we're all asking ourselves, what is this Palestine Aid Movement? What is Palestine Aid Movement about? What do we stand for? And what is our agenda as a movement towards freedom and liberation? And we made up this small presentation to at least give you a breakdown on exactly what we are advocating for, and a small brief summary on the death tolls, the statistics of damages, and the level of inhumane activities that they've been doing since October 7th. As we begin the presentation, we would like to welcome you. Palestine Aid Movement is not only for Muslims, as my brother Husni had said. It is a movement that incorporates all religions. It is a movement that does not know age, does not know religion, does not know ethnicity. And as Palestine Aid Movement, we want to show the people that yes, we can stand and refuse to do nothing. We can be part of a global movement, because this is not only localized. The challenge is not with the people of Mombasa alone or with the people of Palestine alone. This is an infringement towards the human rights and the core aspect as the people or the people in this world stand for. Indeed, we have been engaging in protest activities in collaboration with Kenya and Palestine, which happened about 2 to 3 weeks ago. After the Palestine protest, we were inquiring, or people were inquiring, can we do anything other than a protest? So we came up with this particular model of an educational forum, so that people really understand, what is this war about? Why are the people of Palestine being killed mercilessly? What is the agenda of Israel? Apart from the educational forum, we have artistic pieces which are just behind there. We have clothing line. These are Palestinian wares, Palestinian fashion designs, which we intend to auction, a mini food bazaar, and a general contribution from the people, so as to share our well-being with the people of Gaza. Next slide. What are our agendas? Awareness, history and heritage. Just as I had stated, peace and coexistence. Because we are the main advocates of a ceasefire. We believe we can have mutual agreements if people decide to put aside elements of violence, because violence at the end of the day only begets more violence. And lastly, the fundraising element. With the fundraising, as we speak, through Artistic Hope and Muslims around the world, aid of over 3.1 million shillings has been able to reach the Gaza people. So kindly clap. We intend to further continue the fundraising drive, and our hope is today tukitoka hapa kila mtu atoe ile anaweza, at least tuongezee katika ile 3.1 million. Ndivyo ama sivyo? Free? Free? I'm not hearing the ladies. Free? Thank you. Next slide. Yes, so as I stated, this is not just a Muslim affair. It traverses across all ethnicities, it traverses across all religions, it traverses across all humanity. Now to the factual bit and the sad bit. As you can see, over 11,240 civilians dead. And this is an update with just the 39 days of violence that has been happening. 29,000 civilians. And when I talk about the 11,240, these are all civilians. 29,000 injured. We are traversing across children, mothers, people with disability, Christians, Muslims, everywhere. 45% of the Gaza Strip has been totally destroyed. Sorry, I can't see that figure there. pole sioni na hii angle, lakini yeah, you can see there 3,500. Bottom pale, based on the UN report, 135 units destroyed, households, 11 bakeries, 20 wash facilities. Wash facilities is water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities. We have we can see the number of educational facilities that have been destroyed as well, over 313. We have over 74 places of worship, regardless of mosques, churches. All this are part of the 74 data that we're giving. These are cases of diseases. I'll summarize because I believe everyone can see. Despite of the direct killings that the whole media is focusing on, there are also certain aspects that are killing the people indirectly, like the diseases, as you can see. So without further ado, I come to the end of my presentation. I would like to call upon all my fellow leaders who have been part of this initiative to kindly step forward just to say hello. Please, Rafiq, Karim, Kenya for Palestine. Mirfat, I don't know if Mirfat's in the hall currently. Shufat. And Husni, who had just given a speech. Can we have a round of applause to organizers? Once again, this event would not be a success without the teamwork that we had. We expected more audience, and this is just the first series. Definitely we'll have more. The governor has told us that he will support, and he has always been in support. Not only with the issues of Palestine, but our governor has been in support of all the charity activities. He has been in support of turning the face of Mombasa into a city that is acknowledged globally. Thank you very much. Please have a seat.
Free Palestine.
Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. Thank you. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our guest of honor. The only few guest of honors who actually keep time and have the well-being of the people of Mombasa and Kenya in general at heart. Thank you very much. A round of applause to our governor.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I thought the microphone was a bit low, but it seems Junaid's voice and everyone else who's been talking, their voices are a bit under the weather, and I thought I was the one who was feeling unwell. First and foremost, I want to put a disclaimer. And before that disclaimer, I want to appreciate and I want to thank the organizers of not only just this particular movement, but the organizers of every other voice collectively and equally individually that is being heard throughout Mombasa, Kenya in general, and of course with the advent of social media, your voice is not just being heard in the halls or rather the precincts of this hall alone, but your voice is being heard throughout the whole world. So first of all, congratulations to each and every one of you. And two, I want to put a disclaimer. Whatever I say, my stand would still be the same, whether I'm the governor of Mombasa or not the governor of Mombasa. Because at the end of the day, I have a heart, I weep, I laugh, I bleed, the same as every single other person in this world. And in regards to the people of Gaza, Palestine, for those who don't feel, regardless of anything else, then I think we need to be able to question the level of humanity that is there. And we refuse to keep quiet. We refuse to keep quiet because this is nothing else but a cleansing of a people. Calculated, motivated by nothing else, by evil regimes. We will call it the way it is. When you bomb hospitals, when you try and eradicate places of worship, when you target children, the vulnerable, when you target women, and your bullets know no boundaries as to who is a civilian and as to who should be the person that you want to target, then these are people who need to be taken to the ICC. We cannot keep quiet. I want to state this. This is not a religious battle. This is more than a political battle. This is a moral battle. And this is a battle from what is right and what is wrong. There are no two ways about it. And when you fail to at least call out to the people who are doing an outright genocide, I repeat again, politically calculated to remove a whole people for purposes of occupation, to remove a whole people because of Zionism movements. 12,000, close to 12,000 people have lost their lives. Up to 29,000 people who are civilians have been injured. 3,500 plus people being displaced. This should not be anything else. These are humans who have names, who have families, who have loved ones. And when you try and reflect on the situation in Palestine, imagine a situation where within the comfort of your home, you wake up to bombings. Within the comfort of your homes, you wake up where your whole family has been wiped out. Within the comfort of your homes, all your dreams and desires are wiped out because of someone's political greed. And when we fail to talk about this, we as well are taking part in this genocide. And I know my words might cause a bit of ripples, but the truth needs to be said as it is. We are asking the national government. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs might be domiciled within, constitutionally, the national government. But every single Kenyan holds an individual conscience. And I can assure you, there is no Kenyan right now who stands with genocide. I repeat, this is not a religious battle. This is not a battle for supremacy of the color of the skin. This is not just a political battle. This is a moral battle from what is right and what is wrong. From the year 1948, when a state called Israel was proclaimed by the British, a similar time when Kenyans were fighting hard and we were trying to ensure that we have our own level of independence. Imagine a Kenya if we were still struggling to wake up on the soil of our forefathers and to be told we are no longer needed. And imagine a Kenya where every single person decided to keep quiet because it was politically correct to keep quiet. This is not the life, this is not, no soul, no human should be able to be taken through like what the people of Palestine are going through. So today we're here. I went and paid my courtesy the time that not just a war, I refuse to call it a war, but when the attempt to wipe out the people of Palestine, I went on my individual capacity and the capacity as the governor of Mombasa to the embassy of Palestine to show not just anything else, but solidarity with nothing but humanity. And I want these voices to be echoed, not just today, not just tomorrow, but the moment you keep quiet, silence is the best ally of the oppressor. Our prayers to the people of Palestine and our prayers to every single person who holds right and who is stead firm to calling what is right as right and what is wrong as wrong. So thank you very much and be blessed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. His Excellency the Governor will like you to take part in this auction. We are auctioning these items over here. Please bring the items. So these items which we're auctioning here, the donation, excuse me. Yes, these guys are auctioning these artistic items, and as you know, the donation will go to support our brothers and sisters. So we are urging you to come in front here and choose which one, or maybe if you can take all, but you can choose. So we are calling His Excellency the Governor, please come and lead us in this auction. Thank you. A round of applause, makofi tafadhali, once again to the Governor. These items we are now in an auction, and then the money which is will come from these items is going directly through this organization, through these guys, their artistic hope organization, and then the money will go to our brothers and sisters in their support in Palestine. Is an emergency aid. So which one have you chosen? You're taking this one. Okay. Junaid, please come and tell us the price How much are they selling it?
So we are making it very open based on mheshimiwa mwenyewe vile atataka kutoa tutampatia. Yes, and after that the auction is open. We can begin with the other pieces. So I'll let the governor say so.
The only reason I'm taking this one actually is because I have a similar piece, and I think I got it from the same artist. Am I right? Something similar to that one and the other one on that side. This is something very, very unique. We don't want to put a price on anything, but I know as well that there's some items that we had taken outside, so I'm going to be handing over 100,000 shillings. You guys are going to make a decision. I will request as well, I'm a bit under the weather, as Junaid had actually rightfully stated. If I would also be excused, but he'll escort me to be able to collect the amana in the car. So thank you very much and be blessed. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, asante sana. Makofi tafadhali. And the pay bill is on 406132.7. Anyone can contribute through that pay bill, and you will be a hero, because you are a hero, and you will be a hero as we are standing with Palestine. Now, right now, I'll pass the mic to my co-MC to introduce the panelists who are going to carry on with the program. So please.
My dear brothers and sisters, jamani. Sawa, kuna hizi hapa art zinafaa ziende tafadhali. Anyone, we are calling it out to anyone to come and take at least one of it tafadhali. Not only supporting the artist, you're going to support us on maybe donating on our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Tuelewana, sio? Anyone, ama tufanye hivi, pale ukiingia pale kando kuna desk pale, zitakuwa pale. So you will go and take it there. Is it okay? Inshallah. Shukran sana. Zimependeza sana. Nazipenda. So inshallah, Msechu, where are you, Msechu? So we're going to our panelists, and we have 3 of them. The first one is Shufat. The second one is Abdul Karim. Kindly, tunaka pale juu pale. Shufat, we're waiting for you. And I'm seeing kila mtu ametoka nje amemescort governor. That's we are waiting for Shufat so that we can start our panel. Abdul Qadir, Senior Abdul Qadir. MashaAllah, barakallahu fikum. And the topic, it is the history of Palestine and Israel.
So we're coming to almost the closure of our activity. After the first panelist, we'll have the second and our vote of thanks. So about the art pieces that are there, we've decided for anyone who'd be interested in an art piece, please, you will go to our desk, pick the art piece you want, give your offer, and after the session has been done, we will check who has given the best offer, and they'll be the ones who will go with the prize. Apart from that, also there are dresses, the Palestinian dresses. So in case there's anyone who would want to purchase, there's a lady who is there coordinating the dresses. Please feel free. So without further ado, I would like to invite our moderator, Rukia Janwala.
Testing.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's more ideal if we can have more people who are Songembele to occupy the front seats before we start. Yeah, thank you. Even on the ladies' side, can we have more people occupying the front seats before we start? Thank you. Good evening once again. So just to start our very short discussion on the history of Palestine, there's been a lot of awareness lately. When you go on social media right now, the first thing that you actually get to see in your feeds is a lot of conversations, a lot of videos, a lot of live footage from Palestine and what exactly is happening from that side. And there's a lot of fundraising and awareness and programs that are happening globally, not just in Mombasa or just in Palestine or in the Middle East. But to enable people to understand or be part of a fundraising or a humanity awareness program, people need to understand what exactly is this fight between the Palestine and Israel. For people to understand how they can be committed to a humanity mission, we cannot blame people when they do not post about things, when they do not fundraise about something. I mean, we have an half empty hall today, but also we cannot really blame people because people need to understand what this history is about and how it affects people. The governor talked about that this is not a religious fight, but rather this is a fight for humanity. But they need to understand how it is a fight for humanity and how that is affecting us globally. Before we talk about how it affects people, we need to understand what is the history behind the fight. We need to understand what has brought about the war before we talk about the impact of the war and how we need to come on board to actually support the humanity engagement for it. So on the panel here today, I have 3 very passionate young and senior citizens of the country that have quite a vast knowledge in relations to the history of Palestine, and they have been at the forefront in creating awareness and fundraising and mobilizing for resources, both human resources and financial resources, to create and aid support for the people and children of Palestine. So we're going to have a brief history or discussion to understand how this was all brought about. I'm going to give 1 minute for every panelist to introduce yourselves, just your name and maybe what you do.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kareem Mohammed. I'm one passionate Palestinian supporter. I'm based in the UK. Actually, in the UK, I've been very active in the Palestinian movement. I first started with the Palestinian Solidarity Movement back in 2006 when Israel was bombing Lebanon. That's when I joined the Solidarity Movement in the UK. So I've been very active, pro-Palestinian supporter. Luckily, I happen to be from here, Mombasa, so I think I'm your representative abroad, actually. Alhamdulillah. So apart from that, I run a group here, Helping Hands. Everyone knows me. Thank you.
Thank you. Shufat?
Assalamu alaikum. Mambo vipi? My name is Shufat Muhammad. I'm an activist, philanthropy based in Vita. So I'm just a philanthropy. I run organizations that usually help the less fortunate in the society. Thank you.
Thank you. Abdul Qadir?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Qadir Abdullah. I'm actually born in Mombasa, but I'm based in Nairobi, where I've spent most of my adult life post high school. I've been in Nairobi. And I'm an activist, and I've been very keen follower of the Palestine struggle from the days of my days in high school. And I used to be a very prolific writer of letters to the editor. That is, at that time, that was the only forum we had for expressing our support. So I used to write a lot to the local dailies. And then in Nairobi, I was also involved in many of the activities and protests that people were organizing. And in about 2013, 2014, we formed this organization called Kenya Now Palestine, which is the Swahili name, but the English name is Kenya Palestine Solidarity Movement. I'm one of the founder members and a past chairperson of the organization. And right now I'm a member of the steering committee, National Steering Committee of Kenya Now Palestine. And I'm glad to be here among all of you supporters of Palestine.
Thank you very much. That's yours. If you notice something about the introduction, everyone talks about how they've been engaged in trying to bring about solidarity or provide support to the Palestine. Not right now, not today, not yesterday, not this year, not last year. When he was in high school, he talked about 2006 when they were doing the first initial movement, which means this war has been quite a while. So it would be good to understand what exactly is, where was Israel, or how Israel started, and how Palestine looked like before that. So I'm going to put the question back to you, Karim, to just talk about the history of Palestine pre-Israel, that is 1917 going backwards.
Actually, this whole, what we're seeing today started 75 years ago. That's when the Nakba was created. But prior to that, 1917, when the English British Parliament, led by Lord Balfour, he declared the Balfour Declaration. Declaration meaning he's giving a homeland for the Jewish people. The Jewish people who had been since during the Inquisition time, they had problem in Europe. So Lord Balfour and Lionel Rothschilds and all the other cahoots, they sat down and said we should give these people a homeland. It should be, and they were trying to locate the homeland. After that, few administrative government kept changing until 1919. There was a Treaty of Versailles in Paris. This is when they said that a country should be named, Palestine should be named Israel. They already had a Zionist movement going around everywhere. This Zionist movement had started prior to that. But this is when they started coming. Hapo ndo walijitokeza. Wakasema kwamba we need to have a homeland. So they were distinguishing homeland. You can hear walisema mpaka Kenya, Uganda, all these places. This was just a decoy to kudanganya watu. But the reality, they always had targeted that particular land. Because they believe they are descendants of there, which a lot of them are Eastern Europeans, Russians. You see, in 1920, when the Bolshevik Revolution, 1919, 1920, the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia happened, this is when a lot of them got displaced from Russia, because Russia, the Leninists came in, they couldn't, because most of these Jews who were there, they live with everyone. But then we have to distinguish between the Jews and the Zionists. The Zionists is this settlers colonial movement. These are the same people who have been settling around the world. I mean, the other ones who went to the US, not particularly the Zionists, but the US, you see what happened. More or less 300 years before that, they had gone to the US, they had occupied someone's land. Same thing happened to Australia. They had gone to occupy someone's land, so it was their turn now to look for a land. So they termed up with a term calling it Holy Land. The Holy Land meaning the Palestine and Jerusalem being their capital. They had all this, like the governor just said, this whole thing was pre-planned. As things unfolded, I mean, as they grew stronger across Europe, someone came up and said, this is enough. I mean, that's the Führer. This is what happened during the Second World War. When the Führer, Hitler came and declared war on them, they were misplaced. After the misplacement in 1945, after the war, 1948, they said, we need to have a homeland. Now, this year, it has to be forced. The British Parliament and the Prime Minister was Lloyd George. He said they should be given a home, and it should be Palestine. At that time, remember, prior to that, there was the Ottoman Empire, which had collapsed in 1919. So that whole land, it was kind of lawless. People were just farmers, olive farmers. They were friendly to them, and they were businessmen. So they accepted these new refugees from Europe who were misplaced by the Führer, the Third Reich of Hitler. Upon their misplacement, when they arrived in Palestine, initially they were welcome. You've seen all the videos, these boats welcoming them. But then the Zionists amongst them came up, wakajitokeza wale Zionists, led by Moshe Dayan. I think Moshe Dayan was the first one. No, Ben Gurion, yeah. David Ben Gurion was the first one. David Ben Gurion, with his settlers colonial movement, they decided to create a nation. So they were awarded Palestine. It cost, at the cost of the local Arabs. I mean, how do you bring people in and tell the other ones just leave? Initially, that's what they did. They said, do you move on the side? Hawa tuwapishe huku, nyinyi kaeni huku. Hawa wapisheni huku.
So who decided that?
The British. They were, and the Americans as well. At that time, Roosevelt, they said, when we give them the Arabs, because at that time, remember, in the 40s, already oil was discovered, was being discovered already. So they said, who will own this oil? Then they realized that prior to that, the Zionist movement had a, if you read, there's a book called the Chronicles of Zions. It tells all, it says all these things. It's long, it's nini vitabu kama 12 hivi, big books. They talk about this Knights of Zion. They had encroached a lot of lands, including part of Saudi Arabia, part of Egypt and everything. Like, this is our promised land. But then it was torn down by the British and the Americans. They torn it down. They said, this, you'll have this stretch of land. And both of you will worship this same place in Jerusalem. So they started making it religious. They started making it, it's a religious obligation for us to migrate back. They called it their birthrights. Everyone who goes back there is Israeli, all around the world. They were, remember, they were scattered around the world. A lot of them lived in the Ottoman Empire, actually. A lot of them lived in Turkey. A lot of them lived in Morocco. Until today, you go to neighborhoods in Morocco, you'll see even the Moroccan flag, their symbol, came from Star of David, actually. That's what they said. Anyway, so after they migrated, after they came back to, after 1945, 1948, when the Nakba began, that's when the Arab resistance movement started, yeah. They were looking for excuses for the Arab countries to enter. Then people like Jamal Abdel Nasser and few other leaders, Hafiz al-Assad, they fought, then that's when the Arab war started, yeah. The 1967 war, where the Arabs started to try to get back the lands from Israel. Israel fought back with the help of France and Britain, and they expanded their territory. So Nakba literally translates as catastrophe.
Translates as what?
Catastrophe. Al-Nakba. That's what it means. In English, literally, they said the day of catastrophe. That's when people were misplaced, people were killed. All that, we never saw all that until recently when media came out. Prior to that, it was hidden in history. They just say it was a peaceful transition. There was nothing peaceful about it. That's why until today, this is like a settlers colony created there. To cover their tracks, they brought in Moroccans and Ethiopians and Yemenis. They welcomed them to Israel, but it was more of just a sugarcoat to show that they, not to be seen as racist, but majority of them migrated from Europe, from the US. So this is a movement which has been going on until today. So the Palestinians, every time you'll hear arguments saying, oh, but this is our promised land, this is our blessed land. In the UK, we've been with a lot of Jewish movements. I mean, they literally believe that they do not have a promised land. They say that it's against their religion to have a homeland. They will not have a homeland until the day of judgment. That's what they believe. The real Jews, that's what they believe. But this thing about homeland and having, it's a settlers colony, satellite which has to be there to monitor all the Arabs nearby there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to pose a question to you, Abdul Qadir. There's a symbol of watermelon that has been used for quite some time with the Palestinians, and I know there's a history that is related to that and why they ended up using that symbol. How is that in relation to the history of Palestine? Yes, the symbol of watermelon.
Yeah, the symbol of the watermelon that you saw the governor buying, the painting that the governor bought, the symbol of the watermelon has historical significance to the struggle because there was a period when the Israeli colonialists had banned the display of the Palestinian flag, Palestinian national flag. I think that was around 1967, maybe, to about 1995, maybe. They had banned, so the Palestinians could not fly their flag. So instead of that, the Palestinians used the watermelon, because if you look at the watermelon, the colors are almost the same colors of the Palestinian flag. So that is how the watermelon became a symbol, a revolutionary symbol for the Palestinians.
Why was it banned? Why were they banned to use their flag?
Yeah, because they want the Israelis did not want any expression, any political expression of Palestinian nationhood. And one of the greatest symbol of nationhood is the flag, the national flag. And that is why the Israelis, to suppress Palestinian nationhood, they didn't want any display of the Palestinian flag.
A question still on the same thing. As it is right now, from the history of Israel and Palestine, is that the land was divided and Israel had to occupy a sector of the land, and the rest of that side was still a Palestinian land. So how is it possible they are able to ban Israel from displaying their flag, considering they were still a sovereign state? How does that work?
Yeah, actually, if you look at when this happened, it was in 1967. So first of all, the Palestinians did not accept the splitting of their state because it was unfair. It's like me coming into your house and saying, I'm going to take some of your house, and then as a solution, some people who support me, they say, okay, we are going to bring a resolution. What we do is that we share your house 50-50, for example. It wasn't even 50-50. But okay, we are going to share that house so that is a resolution of the problem. You're not going to accept that, you know. You're not going to give 50% of your house and then somebody says that is a resolution. So the Arabs resisted from the beginning. The Palestinians resisted. However, the Israelis were supported by the same powers that sponsored them. And this is the British and the Americans. Remember, the British and the Americans were behind the creation of Israel on the land of the Palestinians. Now, I like to giving this as an example. Supposing I want Brother Karim's house. I go there and I have people behind me who help me. They took Brother Karim's house and then they gave that to me. Okay, they say, okay, you take 50% of the house and Karim keeps 50% of the house. And Karim doesn't accept that. He takes that to, let's say, to the court. And lo and behold, when you get to the court, you realize that the judge actually is the same people who sold your house to me. He's a judge. So that's what happened. The so-called United Nations was actually the same people who gave the Palestinian land to the Israelis, were the same people now who are acting as the judges of what is right and what is wrong. So they were saying, no, you guys now have to split this land. Of course, you're not going to accept it. And that's what happened with the Palestinians. They rejected that solution. So what happens? These powers now started helping the Israelis. They know, instead of giving the Palestinians a right, they actually now start defending the Israelis. They started giving them weapons, aeroplanes, and tanks, and everything, and also legal, diplomatic, and political cover to suppress the Israelis. And in 1967, Israel made a surprise attack against the countries that were leading the resistance at that time, Egypt, I think, and Jordan, and the so-called, and Syria. In about 6 days war, they crushed the armies of those countries. And they took over more land, even more land that then they had been given by the United Nations, including Jerusalem, Beit al-Maqdis, or Al-Quds as we call it. They took over that land. They took over what is now called the Gaza Strip. They took over part of the West Bank. And then at that time, they now were very powerful. The Arab countries have been defeated, and the Israelis now are powerful, and they were supported by strong powers. That is when they become now dictatorial and saying, in fact, we don't allow you to display their flag. There is no, in fact, they started denying. They said there are no Palestinian people.
It's very good history. So I have a question before we talk about how generally this is affecting humanity, and this question can either be answered by you or Karim. Why Palestine as a land? Why not any other country? Why did they choose Palestine as a land to occupy? Why not any other country? Why not Morocco? Why not Algeria? Why not South America? Why not a part of France? Why Palestine?
Would you like to answer it, or should I answer it? Okay, actually, as you know, and Brother Karim said, they actually initially they had other options, including parts of the lands in Kenya and Uganda, the so-called Uganda plan. They wanted actually to bring them here. Another land that they also considered was Argentina, and I think some other places. But the Zionists themselves, for some reason that I can only guess, they actually decided that particular area is more suitable. Number one, because of its association, historical association with Judaism. Okay, so they wanted that place. Number two, I think the British also supported it because it served their interests of controlling that area, which is known to be resource rich, very strategic. It is a very strategic place at the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe. So that place was very suitable for that reason. And then it has that religious connotation, number two. Number three, the British and the Westerners, they have a movement called the Christian Zionists. This Christian Zionist movement, in fact, predates the Jewish Zionist movement. And they are like the Crusaders, the former Crusaders, but in a new name. They call themselves the Christian Zionists. They believe that Jesus Christ will come back and he will, there will be a war, an Armageddon, a very catastrophic war involving some powers, involving Muslims or what people they call Antichrist. And remember that these Christians also are the same people who lost Palestine to the Muslims. So this was also like a continuation of the crusade. They wanted the Muslims kicked out. Although Palestinians are not all Muslims. A big population is Christian. But they wanted to use that. They wanted to support the Jews to fight the Muslims. And then they believe in their theology that when Jesus comes, they will kick out the Jews also. So this fitted their narrative, and it fitted the imperialist plans to take over and to control that region. And I think that is why they supported the creation of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Yes.
Thank you very much. Pretty good history there. Now we want to look at how all this history is affecting humanity right now, basically in terms of the impact that is affecting the Palestine and maybe generally to the general world population. How is that affecting humanity?
Allow me to speak in Swahili kwanza, because I believe jambo hili liko katika eneo la watu wenye kuzungumza Kiswahili sana, sio? Na nikizungumza hivi kuna mchango pia unaendelea, ina maana watu wengi utawafikia information zaidi, sio? Mimi hii ina affect directly humanity in a way that tukizungumza ile Nakba peke yake, there were over 700,000 watu zaidi ya 700,000 walitolewa maeneo yao, zaidi ya vijiji 58 vilikuwa destroyed completely, na almost 15,000 people waliuliwa. So automatic hapo inaonyesha kwamba humanity imepotea katika dunia yetu, sio? Na hawa marefari ambao tunatarajia kina United Nations, they are doing nothing. In fact, wale wakubwa wao zaidi wana support wale ambao wana commit genocide. Sasa hii tukizungumzia sasa hii just the 40 days plus, almost 11,200 people wameuliwa, over 24,000 people wamekuwa injured na wengine wamepotea. So automatic sisi watu wa humanity lazima itatouch, lazima tuingie hapo, na vitu vingi tunaweza fanya. Kitu cha kwanza ni kuencourage hizi serikali zetu na wa marefari waangalie haki iko wapi, hata kama wanasema kwamba jamaa terrorist, lakini huwezi kuua watoto wadogo. You cannot bomb hospitals, refugee camps, hata kama wale watu wako ndani pale kweli, lakini huwezi kuua watu 500 kwa sababu kuua mtu mmoja ambaye unasema ni terrorist. So sisi kama wanadamu lazima tu encourage kwanza serikali zetu waingilie jambo kama hili, tu encourage wazungumze so that action ichukuliwe, hii vitu zistopishwe na watu waweze kuishi kwa amani na pia wapate haki zao. Tunajua kwamba Israeli wamekata paka source ya maji,
na vitu kama internet na mambo mingi wameyakata, ambazo ni basic human rights, especially hawa watoto wadogo, mama zetu. I believe kwamba kama ni vita wangefanya kama walivyomua Osama bin Laden, if it's terrorist, wangeingia specifically Osama bin Laden na watu wake wakamaliza ile grupu yake. Lakini ukisema kwamba utabomb hospitals, utabomb refugee camps, hapo hatuwezi kubaliana nao kabisa, hata kama useme kuna nani pale ndani. So kama humanitarians lazima apart from kuhimiza serikali zetu, kuna vitu tunaweza fanya donation, tuka make sure kwamba zimewafikia wale watu. Tunajua kwamba sasa hivi wana shida ya vyakula, wana shida ya mambo mingi sana, maji. So sisi lazima tuangalie njia gani ambayo inaweza wafikia wale watu wetu, kwa sababu tunajua kwamba hawa walipewa baadhi ya space in 1948 po wakaamua kwamba watatoa watu, ndio ile Nakba ikaja, wakaeka space zaidi, wakafanya mambo mingi zaidi, na sisi ni kuinsist zaidi hawa marefari wafanye haki. Wakifanya haki, I believe kila kitu kitakuwa sawa, na haki yenyewe ni watu wenye land yao wapewe land yao. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do not want to completely conclude this discussion because I know you already touched on the story of fundraising, and the next panel that is going to come on board is specifically going to handle the bits of fundraising. But thank you very much. This has been quite a good discussion, at least to elewe what is the history of Palestine and Israel, what is the engagement, when the war started, why the war is happening right now, so that when we talk about fundraising and harnessing a lot of people to take into consideration that it's not a race war, it is not it's not a religious war, but it's rather a war against humanity, then that would be very ideal for us to transition. So thank you very much for your time, expertise and experience in sharing the history of Israel and Palestine. Thank you very much.